Well, guys, the 8 o'clock squad actually went fairly decent. I bowled a lot better than I did yesterday. I changed strategies a bit and I moved outside, tried to play more in the 5-board area. I did get a look at the pattern finally, and there was a little bit of shape to the pattern out towards the 5-board. And then my solid equipment actually started to hook and move for me. So overall, I'm pretty happy with how I bowled in my division, which is 205 and under, because last year's average was 204. I'm sitting in first place currently, but that's also at minus 100. Scores did go down a ton today compared to yesterday, because yesterday the cut was upwards of minus 40, 50. So the pattern's starting to play a lot tougher. I am going to bowl one more time just to see if I can improve upon my score, but I'm thinking I should be good to go for tomorrow. And that's when the real tough part begins. Well, guys, I'm back at my Airbnb. I bowled one more squad, but I did not do a lot of video capturing during that particular squad. I missed the cut by 6 pins on the the 11 o'clock squad today. Or did I bowl it? Yeah, the 11 a.m. squad, I bowled and I missed it by 6 pins. And that was my score coming across from the 8 o'clock squad. So I was really upset. I took the next squad off, the 2 o'clock or 2:30 squad, which they ended up starting really late. And I decided to try one more time at what should have been the 5 o'clock squad, but it didn't actually start till after 6:30. So I just got back to my Airbnb and it's pretty late. It's 10:30. But I had the best block that last squad. My strategy going in was to try and simplify things a little bit. So I took my really strong equipment, sanded them to 500 grit, and I took basically the next couple balls that would have been a ball down, more or less, from the really strong stuff, and I sanded them to 2,000 grit, 3,000 grit, and then I had 2 other balls that would have been ball down from that, and I left those about, I had one at a little bit of shine on it, that was the Geek, and then the other one was the Black Pearl Treasure Asymmetric, which I have at 5,000 grit. So basically, I gave myself a traction look, a continuous look, and a skid flip look. Tried to simplify it all. I sanded my urethanes down and I gave those a shot. The weird thing about the urethane is I think I had the urethane just a little too rough on the grit. I have one that's at 500 grit. I have another that's at about 2,000 to 3,000 grit. They're both drilled identical, and I only threw the one that was at 500 grit, and it was good for about 4 shots. And then it started to try and leave me a 5.7. I spared in the first frame of the first game, and then I threw a double. And then the next shot I threw, I barely got a strike, and the 5.7 kind of, toppled at the last second. So I looked at that and was like, that was weird. So I spent the next 3 frames basically trying to play with my entry angle a little bit with the urethane ball just to get it to go through the pocket right, and it just wasn't having it. The weirdest part about this bowling alley here is the lane beds are pretty soft, and even though there's a decent amount of oil out there, if you're throwing something with too much surface on it and it's got a strong cover on it, you're gonna struggle with it. That's just how it goes. So I was out of my urethane after about, I'd say 3/4 of the way through the first game. I wish I would have got out of it sooner, because I found a ball that reacted really well towards the end of the first game. And in game 2, I ended up shooting 243 with my Incredible Hero sanded at 3,000 grit. The shot here that we've been playing on is really difficult. It's 2-to-1 ratio. It's like 41, 42 feet, but it is very, very slippery. And so your angles are not really wide open, especially over a 4-game format. They're pretty closed. So my line the entire night was actually playing. I started playing straight up 10, and then, just as things kind of opened up a little bit, I started to increase my angle a little bit. At the end of the night, I was only throwing 14 to 10, so that's a 4-board hook. There was a few guys out there hooking the whole lane, and they just had to, dial their ball speed down to make that work. But for me, the line was, up 10 and around the track area. It worked out pretty good. But anyway, I finished up with, I think I'm at minus 46, 47, somewhere around there. So I did make the cut. They are taking, I think there's like 32 or 34, somewhere around there. I can't remember exactly. But for tomorrow, there's another 4-game format, and then we cut to the top 16 and then match play. So your pins carry over your pin total from your best performance in whatever squad that was. So my pin total will carry over, and I'm sitting about in the middle of the field. So I'm within reach. I just need to bowl well tomorrow and pick up more spares. For the most part, I'm pretty consistent on my spare shooting during this tournament, but I'm missing some stupid single pin spares that I shouldn't be. Easy stuff like 2 pins, 4 pins, stuff like that. And it just, for whatever reason, I get in the habit of trying to control my spare ball instead of just letting go of it. But anyway, I think I have a good game plan for tomorrow. I'm going to show up at the bowling alley a little bit early and get my equipment sanded down and surfaced properly and cleaned up, and then we'll see how it goes from there. We bowl at 8:30. I'll see you guys in the morning.
Well, guys, I'm back at home. So it has actually been several days since the end of the tournament. Going into the Cashers round on Sunday, I woke up that morning. I was feeling a little tight, in my hips. I've had this issue in my SI joint for a pretty long time, that, basically where things get really tight down in that joint. And when that happens, it really limits my range of motion. And sometimes if it happens bad enough, it starts to pinch my sciatic nerve down in that region. So if that happens, it basically shuts my whole entire lower half of my body down. So it's something I really have to keep watch on as I bowl. And I try to make sure I'm not straining it too much, like when I'm working out and things like that. But anyways, I woke up Sunday morning for the Cashers round, got everything ready to go. I got to the bowling alley. I went to grab my stuff and pull it out because I left it at the bowling alley overnight. And as I was pulling that out, I just felt a strain down in my right SI joint, which is the area that I've had the issue with for the longest time. And I knew at the moment I felt it that it wasn't going to be good. So I started stretching as much as I could. I took some pain meds and spent about 15 to 20 minutes stretching prior to the start of the Cashers round. And the unfortunate thing is the pain only got worse and worse as the Cashers round progressed. So I was really not able to throw the ball like I need to. My ball speed was way down. I was unable to, rotate my body and go through my proper approach like I would usually do. So overall, because of that, I could not put together a really good block. Now, with that being said, I did shoot 2 back-to-back 170s, and then I shot a 180, and then my last game was a 150 because, the last game of the Cashers round, I was in so much pain. It was absolutely crazy how much pain I was in. I have a feeling like if I was at 100%, I could have maybe gone a little above a 200 average. It still wouldn't have gotten me into the top 16 cut, though, because the top 16 cut line was like plus 20, and I was minus 40, 50 something going into the Cashers round day. So either way, I would have had to bowl out of my mind to make the top 16. But had I been 100%, I would have cashed a lot higher up than where I did cash. Now, with that being said, there was over 300 bowlers at this particular tournament that had entered the tournament, and I placed in the top 50 of those bowlers. So I am very happy with that. I cashed, got a check from the tournament. Overall, it was a good trip for me. I was able to conquer the pattern, figure out the best way for me to play it. I was able to figure out what equipment was best used on that type of a pattern, and I was able to be successful at it. And that's really, in the end, that's where I kind of judge myself on my performance is, did I make the cut, the initial cut, and how well did I bowl throughout the event? So overall, I'm happy with the performance. When I got back on Monday, my pain in my SI joint was really bad. I could barely move by the time I got home. I had to drive 8.5 hours back home, I have a stick shift vehicle, so, you know, using the clutch on that vehicle and just sitting for prolonged periods of time was brutal. I was icing and I was heating that area of my body throughout the entire journey home, but, you know, by the time I got home, it just was at the point where it was like, nope, we're done for a while. So this week I have been nursing that particular problem and I've been resting up. I went to the doctor, I went to my chiropractor. He recommended I went and see a doctor about it. The doctor told me that basically what's going on is all the muscles in that region are so tight that it's squeezing my sciatic nerve so bad that it's just shutting everything down. So he prescribed me some pretty good muscle relaxers, which I've been on and off of throughout the entire week. And then he wanted me to, you know, take some anti-inflammatory meds and some pain relievers to kind of help things out. So it's now Thursday. It's been several days. I'm feeling so much better. I'm getting to the point where next week I should be able to get back into the swing of practice and throwing balls and stuff like that, because I have to get ready for my next tournament coming up, which I've got 2 coming up. I've got the Ring in 10 coming up in Butte, Montana, which is another amateur event. And then immediately following that, the following weekend, is going to be my first regional in Grants Pass, Oregon. So I've got that to prepare for as well. With that being said, I've got a pretty big announcement for you guys. My merchandise store is going to be opening up here next week. I finally got my samples from the merch store that I ordered, and it looks really good. I'm going to make some minor changes to some of the designs, but then I'm going to open up the merch store on the channel, so that will allow you guys to order t-shirts, sweatshirts, stickers, all kinds of stuff to help support the channel. Thank you for your support of the channel, by the way. Those of you who are Patreon members and receiving lessons from me, thank you so much. Your support means the world to me, and I look forward to working with all of you guys as time goes on. Those of you who are donating to the channel, thank you so much for that additional support. And for those of you who are going to be buying merch here in the future, again, thank you for the support. All of that support goes a long ways to helping me produce this content. So please, guys, do all the things, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.